I'm Dr. Imran Lodhi, and today we are here to discuss about happiness. So I want you to be very present during this lecture, not just only because it's an academic lecture and we have to be learning about some skills, but this is the course where you will learn most of the things which will help you throughout your life, not only in your profession but in your life, during your work when you will be doing it, and in your life decisions. So this course itself is a very unique course that can help you with your life and with your decisions. So in this lecture, primarily it's about the economics of happiness, but before we actually get into the economics of happiness, we must know what is the science behind happiness. Because economics of happiness means we are going to look happiness from an economic perspective. But it will be meaningless if we don't consider the actual science behind happiness. Because happiness is not just being related with economics. There are so many factors which affect our happiness that you will learn with in our coming slides. Next, please. So this lecture, what we will learn actually, will be learning about the scientific principles, the science that controls our happiness, the chemistry, what chemicals run through our blood when we feel happy or when we feel less happy. Similarly, the role of hormones that regulate our emotions and eventually leads to whether being happy or unhappy. And also the biology and genetics of happiness. Many of you might not have considered this, but much of our happiness is controlled by our genes, the way we are made up, what we have received from our parents in inheritance. And similarly, how physical health and attractiveness can actually affect our mood and happiness. So happiness actually, it's an emotion which becomes more expressive when the endogenous factors and exogenous factors interact. From a very basic perspective, endogenous factors are those which you already have within you. They could be physical, they could be moral, they could be biological, but these are the things that you already own or you have them already. And exogenous factors, they are like social and behavioral, cultural, contextual factors, in addition to economics factors, which are all outside your basic control. I'll try to make an example like, if I pass an exam with a very high grade, I feel very happy on my achievement. I feel the results of my efforts. That's happiness. But also, I feel happy when my father says, "Well done, boy, you did it very well." That's another factor, that's an exogenous factor that is also contributing towards my happiness. When my teacher says, "Well done, you have done very good, you got very good marks." It has nothing to do within myself, but I get some compliment from outside and I feel happy. So the endogenous and exogenous factors, they interact in a balance to affect the level of satisfaction and happiness within us. Now consider another example. I ask you, and I want you to participate when you feel to ask something or comment on something. Let's say you got A grade in your exam, but when you go to your teacher, he said, you are very weak. You still need a lot of improvement. You know nothing. So what is happening here? You have got something. It should make you happy. But it is not being confirmed from outside. It doesn't get the validation from outside. So, in this way, your level of happiness will not be that much in the absence of validation or in the presence of validation. If your teacher says, okay, well done, you did it very well. And if you say, okay, you got a grade, but this is nothing. So, this is how exogenous and endogenous factors interact to affect the level of happiness that we have. Now, can you believe that 35% to 50% of your happiness is controlled by your genes, not by what you have achieved or not by you are working in a very good corporate firm in a very nice place at the public sector, or you are earning millions of dollars annually. 50%, up to 50% of your happiness is controlled by the genes that you got from your parents. So this is how much your parents have influence on your happiness. Although it's a bit contested, many scientists contest it, like it's not like that, not all the genes are all active all the time. So it's the environment that makes it what genes will be active and what will be suppressed. But even though the capability of our genetic makeup is so much that it can affect our happiness. And scientists, genetics, the human experts on human genetics, they have identified certain genes which are responsible for human happiness. So some of the top of them, I am not sure how to pronounce them, but these are like some coding, the genetics people know it better. 5-HTT-LPR, it's a coding serotonin distributing gene. It helps to regulate the serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter. It determines how the level of serotonin will be spread within your brain, and from brain how it is communicated through all of your body. So, say if somehow your gene is not working, if this gene is not working, it's suppressed. So no matter what you are doing, you may not get that level of optimum level of happiness. So it is very important to consider these genes. Similarly, I call it MAO-A, which is also a catabolic enzyme which regulates and which catalyzes the serotonin within our body. Next, please. Two important neurotransmitters, dopamine and serotonin. Your whole life, most of your emotions, you feel happy, you feel anguish, they are affected by these two neurotransmitters. You are sitting here and somebody comes from the gate and said, Shirdil, you got PhD scholarship in China. Here is your letter. So the surge in your bloodstream, the dopamine surge, will immediately excite you. That chemical developed within your blood, it will make you happy. So these neurotransmitters, what they do is, our senses, usually we say 5 senses. What they do is, we get input from these senses. We see something, it's an input. And where is this input going? Towards the brain. We see the light, We send this light to the brain and brain creates a picture. It's a window. It identifies us, it's a window. We hear something and the neurotransmitters takes that information to the brain and brain helps us, okay, it's a vehicle. We touch something and the neurotransmitters take some messages to the brain and they tell us, okay, it's hard and it's wood-like structure. We smell something and then neurotransmitters take that information to the brain and it identifies it's a food. It looks, its taste must be good. So our brain at the back end is dealing all those things. All other things are just inputs that we are getting from our surroundings. So one thing that has affected or has influenced the happiness literature is the theory of Ashby et al. He's a scientist who gives this what they call the neurochemical theory. He said when we feel positive mood, and if you test your dopamine level will be higher. And when a person is depressed, and if you test his dopamine level, you will find the dopamine level is low. So there is a chemical correlation between our happiness and level of dopamine. And we don't know the modern businesses how they have actually harnessed these neurotransmitters, these hormones, and using them in the marketing to influence our decisions. And as a behavioral scientist, I want you to consider that. I will discuss this in some later lecture, how advertising affects the whole happiness within us. But you would have been using this cell phone and this scrolling culture. A lot of psychologists are talking about this human behavior, the way we are scrolling our screens. What is actually happening? Our brain likes excitement, curiosity, fear. It doesn't like fear, but it responds to fear. And what these screens are doing, they are giving us stimulus to our brains, a lot of stimulus. Bright screens, bright colors, information that confirm our beliefs. You would not have seen why we use so much Facebook. Why the feed I am using or what I am seeing on my Facebook is different from his. Because he likes the content which he likes, and Facebook knows this, he likes this kind of content. So Facebook is showing that content to him so that he feel happy and stays on Facebook. And similarly, Facebook knows what I like. So they are showing the content that I like. I'm getting the confirmation bias. Although there is war all around, but I'm getting very good news. Okay, birds are flying, flowers are blooming, and I'm feeling happy. Okay. So this is how the modern corporate sector, the marketing giants are actually affecting human psychologies at scale based on learning and harnessing these genes, these human neurotransmitters. And as a behavioral scientist, you must be understanding when you are being nudged, when you are being influenced, being persuaded. So you know that. And there are now modern days ways of overcoming these cravings. So it's more like a marginal utility theory that you might have read in your 101 course, microeconomics. So more of something you consume, the less and less satisfaction you will drive. The total satisfaction will be increasing, but at a lesser and lesser addition. So similarly, you're watching every next video, it is leading to some dopamine, but less than the first one, the second one, the third is having less than second, and you might have observed after 2-3 hours of scrolling, you feel depressed and all that happiness has gone somewhere. देखा ऐसा हुआ है 2-3-4 घंटे मुसलसल when we scroll, eventually what happens, we feel stressed. I see my kids, if she is using cell phone for 2 hours and I take the cell phone off, she gets immediately irritated, knowing nothing other thing. She is not understanding any argument or getting the words what I am saying. So more and more dopamine consumption actually leads to less overall satisfaction. This is something very related to the concept of marginal utility. Next, please. Then there is this serotonin transmitter. What does this do? It mediates the happiness and optimism and positivity within us. And most of the drugs, antidepressant drugs, they actually work on inhibiting this hormone. Either they influence it to regulate more of serotonin in your body so that you feel calm. But again, it's a temporary, artificial way of getting serotonin in our body. But generally, it is a compound of our lifestyle activities. If we are doing exercise, if we are having some achievements, if we are having some purpose, then the optimum level of serotonin already circulates within us. Then there are some other neurotransmitters, difficult to actually pronounce. Norepinephrine is a scientific term. So it's another neurotransmitter that affects the level of happiness and positive emotional perceptual bias. Now, what is emotional perceptual bias? Any idea? You might have seen many such experiments. Our brain doesn't know a lot of things in absolute terms. Like, we feel good by seeing the greenery. Having close to nature, we feel good. But there are some research which says that an artificial plant in your office, at your table, can also lead to similar mood enhancing factors that a natural plant can do actually. The problem is our brain is unable to differentiate the effect of artificial or actual. This is perceptual bias. Our brain sees it the way it has information in it stored in it. A lot of child psychologists, they say, don't expose your kids to some content, violent content, some complex content, content which is little emotional in the sense. The kids should not be exposed to them because their brain is unable to differentiate the reality from the screen. They believe what is on the screen. I have seen a lot of elder adults crying watching a movie. What is that? Isn't it surprising? An adult watching a movie, very emotional movie, and it's crying, whether it's a male or female, having a breakup scene, having a mother son scene, having a hero getting killed or something like that.
Someone is dying.
Yeah, something like that. Why is that? Because our brain is so innocent, it doesn't know whether it's real or not. It's our overall consciousness which helps us to differentiate between them. So this is perceptual bias. What we perceived is not true, but our brain is not trained to differentiate them. Similarly, another neurotransmitter, endorphin, it also regulates happiness, and it's also called the romance hormone. It's related with the feelings of love, connection, friendship, music, chocolates, and all these things. They actually are triggered by this endorphin hormones. Yeah, this is another very, very important neurotransmitter, which is melatonin. Melatonin is actually linked with our sleep schedule. If you want to have very good sleep, our melatonin level should be at a certain optimum level. Normally what happens, if we are living a lifestyle which is very natural in the we call the rhythm, natural rhythm. What is natural rhythm? Waking up early in the morning, before sunrise, when everything around the universe is waking up, and then pumping up towards the high intensity work early in the morning, slightly getting slower as we go along the day, and by the evening slowing down, we have enough sunlight during the day. All these factors, they regulates your melatonin if you are into that natural rhythm. So eventually, if you follow this routine, by end of the day you will feel sleepy without any problem. But if your schedule is difficult, if you're sleeping in the day, if you are waking up late in the day, and if you are awake late in the night, so all this will affect your melatonin level. So melatonin level gives you optimum sleep. Now there are some melatonin supplements available in the market. If you are unable to sleep good, you can use some melatonin supplements to temporarily rebuild your schedule. Okay, so these are some of the genes and which of the neurotransmitters they are linked or they are affecting, and how these neurotransmitters are leading to happiness. So this discussion, till this discussion, what I would expect you to understand, that the science of happiness is very clear and it's very much in our hands. We can control our happiness by harnessing, by understanding the science behind it. If we know what we have to do waking up in the morning, what we can do in the early morning, what we should do in the evening, we can very much regulate our level of happiness regardless of what we do, what work we do. Rural or urban, where we live, it doesn't matter. What kind of family I have, it doesn't matter. So these are some of the natural happiness science that we understand. So there are another category of enzymes, endocrines. These are some of the glands which produce hormones which regulates the mood and happiness. These are usually produced in the pituitary and adrenal glands. You might have learned about the cortisol level. What is cortisol? पढ़ा है कभी? सुना है? डॉक्टर्स से सुना है? So cortisol, when your body has high cortisol level, means you are stressed. Your body is higher cortisol means your body is feeling stressed. But stress in itself is not a problem for happiness. It's not a problem for happiness, but it's an indication. Higher cortisol level means you will be having less happiness. But cortisol in itself is not a problem until you know it. The problem is we don't know it. Cortisol level increases gradually when we are expected to do something but we are unable to do that. I was supposed to wake up early in the morning, 6 a.m., but I could not wake up. I wake up at 9, missed 3 hours. 3 hours of work is pending. Now my body cortisol is increasing. There are things I have to do. There were things I could not complete. And it's alarming. There are things that you have to do immediately. And that's why cortisol level. So it's a good hormone in a sense that it gives us message. What is missing? It's like a fever. Fever is not a disease. It's an indication. It's a symptom. There is a problem with your body. Attend that. There is a problem with your lung. There is a problem with your head, with your gut. So similarly, cortisol is an indication. There is something pending which is important for you. And if you are focusing on it, you know the cortisol level, it is triggering action actually. It's good that it triggers action. You have a paper coming up, you're left with 2 days, and slightly, if there are still 10 chapters left, your cortisol levels start increasing. But if you have a paper next day and you have already prepared everything, you are happy. Your cortisol level will be normal. So it's a good hormone. But when it is related to the happiness, we call that its presence means unhappiness. Its presence means your body is leading to those neurotransmitters which leads to lesser happiness. So similarly, there is another hormone, adrenaline. This is also scientists see that during the evolution of human as a race, as a species, we have been living in jungles for so many years that we developed a unique mechanism called fight and flight to take immediate action to survive. It's an evolutionary response. People are living in the jungle, there is a lion's roar, there is immediate pop up in your brain. Can you fight it? No, let's fly, run. And it's still valid in most of our cases. If you are encountered a policeman at the road, and if you think you can handle it, you are easy. But if you think you cannot handle it, you don't have license, your car is not good and you might be challaned. So what to do? Run, fly, avoid. So this is what the adrenaline do. But this also is not a very bad hormone. There is nothing wrong with it. They only give us signals. What that signal means. It's our consciousness that have to determine what these hormones are telling me. What should I do? They are inner signals of what we should be doing. There is a natural phenomena of guiding you what you should be doing. But it's us, the consciousness, that decides whether to stay lazy on the couch or jump out of the bed and change things that we can do. So normally there has been very strong observation that individuals with higher levels of personal growth and purpose in life, they register lower level of cortisol or stable levels of cortisol and adrenaline. That's what I was saying. If you're waking up early, you're doing things, you're on your tasks, it means your body is calm, you're relaxed, you are doing what you should be doing. And therefore, a lot of people at the top in the leadership having very calm personalities, if you evaluate, if you have their blood tests, you will always find them very good with their hormonal level, with their neurotransmitters working great. And then there are some endocrine glands related hormones like oxytocin. It is also related to love and sex and human connection. It helps to develop your relationships within your friendships. You're being affectionate to someone. This is controlled by the oxytocin. So, and also it helps to develop social relationships. If you have good level of oxytocin in your body, your ability to make new connections, your ability to connect to the people will be more efficient. Now, the key to our discussion, all of this what we have discussed, I have not went too deep in the science because I know a lot of people do not have a science background from you. So therefore I did not go into complex science behind all this. So I tried to make it in a very general way. So just touched some of the key things that we should be knowing. The key message, the key purpose of all this discussion was that we are aware what is happening within us and we are in control of what should happen with us. It's not like leaving everything on our fates. I am unhappy because I am supposed to be unhappy. I am anxious because my life is like this. So a lot of people got this escape. But the message from this discussion was that a lot of this science is in our hands and we can actually control our happiness. And it's not just our ability. God has given us this ability. Allah ने हमें बनाया ही इस तरह से है that it's in our hands how we deal with our life. Anyways, so the aim is how this happiness can be targeted as a policy tool. Can we use happiness in policy? Munazza has recently worked on this, how happiness can be a policy goal actually. Not just a mere individual thing, but something that can be used as a policy goal for the society, for the overall economy. So some of the things that I should be sharing here: physical health. Now what I am saying, because good physical health is a policy goal from a labor economics perspective. Having good physical health means you are good at work, you are having less disease days, and you are working good, your work efficiency as a labor is good. But it is also linked with happiness. Physically active people, they are more happier. So we can link that. Developing our HR, a company's HR people, employees, if they are healthier, if their physical health is good, it's not just good for the company that they are working for more efficiently, but it's also good for them that they are happier. And then there comes another thing. If they are happier, their productivity increased further. So happiness and physical health, they should be combined as a policy goals. Similarly, happiness is associated with longer life. This is Diner and Chan, they reported this, that happier people are supposed to be live longer. I don't remember the name of this documentary, but it's on Netflix. You must watch this, all this. I will ask you. It's about the blue zones or something like that.
So I also have this paper where I put this on my literature, that life expectancy is also dependent on happiness. How much happy you are, you live longer.
Okay, so life expectancy, so you also share that with us. So I will be reading that. But also I would want you to watch that documentary. It's just an hour, I think, maybe 1 hour. It's about how they have identified some chunks, some remote areas where people are 100 plus years of age, but still active, still happy, and still having a purposeful life. And they are not having dementia, or they are having stress or any other things like. They then find a pattern in that it's not random. One factor was people who were living in the mountains, they were more active, they were more mobile, they were walking a lot, therefore they were more happy. So this is how it is important from that perspective. So fatness, motapa jo hai, I'm also on diet to reduce my weight. Fatness leads to depression and it affects your quality of life and your happiness, because you want best about yourself. That's what I'm saying. What you want, what you expect from you, and what you are doing. You expect to be fit, but you are unable to do that, more cortisol. More cortisol means more fat absorbing hormones are active, more poor eating habits. So if you are doing what you want, if you have an ideal weight, you are eating what you should be eating, your cortisol level will be in control, you will not be overeating, and things will be calm. This is how it is all linked with the overall lifestyle of a person or a society. There are findings that happy people are good cancer survivors. The people who were happier, content with their life, they have deal with the cancer and come out of it as winners. Yeah, this is controversial, but yes, it's true. Happiness and physical attractiveness, it's a very relevant fact. People who are good looking, they are going to create that perceptual bias that we have just discussed. I was reading a paper, probably from very good journal. I did not share that, but that's true. And it was not in Pakistan. It was some Western universities they actually evaluated, and the paper reflected that professors, they gave good grades to female students who were good looking, and less grades to male students. I know many male students will not be happier. Less grades, not because there was some problem with that, this genuine human psychology. And I perceive this could also be very true, that the students wearing very good, male students wearing very good dress, having a very happy face and very active in the class may get good grades compared to similar level of intelligence and participation with a guy with poor dressing, poor face and poor participation in the class. So this is how much the happiness is linked with everything in our life. And it is important to know that there is a strong bias in assessing attractive people positively. Again, there comes the behavioral science. I wanted to show that, but I could not actually make it. If I put a very beautiful girl with a message and another ugly looking girl with a similar message, there is no difference in the message. Unfortunately, the good looking girl will be right and the bad looking will be wrong on the same judgment. So this is how human behaviors are. And therefore, I always ask you to be more present, more aware of the things affecting your life. And happiness, although it's a word, but when you dive into it, it's a whole lot of science which is affecting our life at individual level and at the collective level. So any question that must be there? A lot of discussion we have done. So I want you to be very open to ask, not just from what I have presented, but ask from your life experiences. You can validate something जो connect करता हो इससे already, या you want to ask something which was not discussed but have to be important around our discussion.
I can't have तुम्हारी तस्वीर नहीं थी मेरे पास तुम किसी तरह हंसते हो ना
The thing is that another study that I want to mention here, faking smile. I can again tell you that our brain is very innocent. It doesn't know. If you fake smile a lot of times, your brain actually starts to release dopamine. Whether you are smiling, it doesn't know whether you're smiling fake or real. It starts to release your dopamine content. कितने लोगों ने वो मुन्ना भाई मूवी देखी है? मुन्ना भाई ने सबने देखी ना? उसमें एक कैरेक्टर होता है, वो ऊंची ऊंची हंसता है, जब उसको स्ट्रेस होती है वो ऊंची ऊंची हंसता है.
जी जी जो प्रिंसिपल था
जो वो प्रिंसिपल होता है. What is that behind that? It's actually a strategy. It's a therapy. And if you are feeling depressed, you just laugh loudly. Even smile can change the chemistry of your body. So it's a two-way. Our chemistry changes our expression, and our actions and expression can change our chemistry. You are on the driving seat. You control your life. What Allah has done, Allah has created all these systems within us and tell us to explore them and know them and then perform. कैसे? कौन से हैं वो जो अशरफुल मखलूकात? those who know all these systems within us that Allah has created and ask us to explore them and understand them and then perform the best you have to do. अब अगर हमें पता चल जाए कि सुबह उठना ही हमारी हैप्पीनेस को कंट्रोल करता है, eventually someday we will be waking up early in the morning. एक तो ये तरीका है, और एक ये है कि मौलवी साहब सुबह सुबह अजान में कह रहे होते हैं कि अस्सलातु खैरुम मिनन नौम, ठीक है, वो कहते हैं यार अल्लाह का हुक्म है बाबा ऐसा नहीं उठते हैं। तो बेशक अल्लाह का हुक्म है, लेकिन अल्लाह के हुक्म के पीछे हिकमत भी है, और हमारा काम है एज एन एकेडमिशियन और एज अ लर्नर उन अहकामात और उन हुक्म के पीछे जो साइंस है उसको एक्सप्लोर करना और एक आम आदमी को उसकी साइंस समझाना कि इन अहकामात के पीछे अल्लाह ने ये हिकमत रखी है, ताकि वो भी उससे उतना ही फ़ायदा उठा सके जितना हम रहते हैं। तो कोई कमेंट नहीं है, इफ़ आई अंडरस्टैंड दिस है, ऑल आर हैप्पी।
सर आपने कहा कि ये जो फैटनेस है ना, ये कोलेस्ट्रॉल अपने आप में कोलेस्ट्रॉल उससे बिलोंग करता है, लेकिन बहुत सारे लोग हमने देखे हैं जो मोटे बंदे थे वो भी हैप्पी होते हैं।
यस, कोर्टिसोल इज वन एलिमेंट। अगेन आई टेल यू, यू आर द ड्राइवर। गाड़ी में अगर हवा कम भी है तो यू कैन स्टिल ड्राइव इफ़ यू आर अ गुड ड्राइवर। हो सकता है कि इंजन में थोड़ी बहुत ख़राबी भी हो, बट इफ़ यू आर अ गुड ड्राइवर यू कैन स्टिल ड्राइव इट। Obesity is a risk factor, but it doesn't only controls. There are so many other people. Like I am very fit, though I am not. But I don't have friends to talk, to share, to laugh. And a person is a bit obese, but he have very nice 5-6 friends. He sit with them, they play cards, they laugh a lot. So there are chances that despite being physically fit, I may not be that happy as the person. I am very fit, having 6 packs, but my pocket is empty. And then there is another person who is not fit, who is obese, but who has $1 million in his account. So there are multiple factors. When we say one factor, we are conditioning all other factors as controlled. ठीक है जी।
सर एक क्वेश्चन है मेरा। सर देखा गया है कि जो बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रेस में होते हैं, जिनकी लाइफ बिल्कुल भी अच्छी नहीं होती, वो लोग बहुत अच्छी कॉमेडी करते हैं और सबको हंसा रहे हैं। एक मशहूर अदाकार भी है जिसकी मैंने एक आर्टिकल भी पढ़ा था सर, वो आई थिंक मन्ना, कोई आप जानते होंगे वो। सर इसके पीछे क्या रीज़न हो सकती है कि वो किस तरह ये चीज़ अडॉप्ट कर लेते हैं कि वो पूरी दुनिया को हंसा रहे होते हैं, वो खुद बिल्कुल भी खुश नहीं होते।
अच्छा, अब ये थोड़ी सी फिलॉसफी आ जाएगी इसमें, साइकोलॉजी से ज़्यादा इसमें फिलॉसफी इन्वॉल्व हो जाएगी। The problem is we live in a relative world. We live in a relative world. We are not absolute people. Human beings are not an absolute existence. एक मोमेंट में जिंदा हैं हम, ठीक है। I am laughing out loud on my achievement, and suddenly I got the news of my friend's accident. The next moment, things change. So you cannot be happy all the time because you have harnessed one time. So happiness is a continuous effort that you're trying to make. ठीक है। अच्छा, अब इसमें एक और भी हम इसमें करते हैं कि relative in the sense you might be happy in this room, but when you sit in the room beside it, you may not be that happy. You like being as an actor, you are a very good actor and you like performing, definitely that makes you happy. But when you go to home, you have fights with your wife, that doesn't make you happy. So you can be happy and unhappy at the same time in different places. One factor, if you know that in exogenous, it's the geography. When we go on the mountains watching snow, we feel happy. Despite I had a fight with the boss at my work. So it's not like that. It's at the overall average level of happiness that you should be focusing on, not the absolute terms. You got something in one achievement. What happens? A lot of people who got good positions in board exams, they could not get admission in the medical and they were depressed. They could not even perform in your average BA class, who were topping the boards. So it's not like, the only thing is how much you know about your happiness and how much you express that. And people don't, and this is a very controversial because I don't have science behind it, but it's very true. True in the sense because I'm talking from my experience. Human beings cannot be happy all the time. And you cannot be sad all the time. Even the closest person you buried a day before, every day passing is decreasing your grief. होता है ना, अपने क्लोज तरीन रिश्ते को दबा के आते हैं कब्र में और कुछ दिन के बाद आहिस्ता 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 रोटी भी खाने लग जाते हैं. फिर महीने 2 महीने बाद किसी की शादी आ जाए तो वहाँ हल्का फुल्का थोड़ा सा हम हंस भी लेते हैं. हाँ, ग्रेजुअली वी कम टू लाइफ. Similarly, I achieved something, I'm very, very happy, everything is going great. People get bored with that life. That flow, stationary feelings are not possible for a long time for human beings. You have to balance between ambition, satisfaction, your passion. आपको लगेगा कि यार वो तो बहुत खुश हैं, वो फलां मुल्क में जो है वो तो हमेशा खुश रहते हैं. भाई जापान में क्यों खुदकुशियाँ होती हैं? सबसे ज़्यादा लोग वहाँ काम भी करते हैं, वहाँ पे मेहनती भी हैं, ईमानदार भी हैं, कोई बंदा झूठा नहीं है, फिजिकली फिट है. वहाँ पे क्यों खुदकुशियाँ करते हैं लोग?
Stress and loneliness.
There are factors. The one factor is the lack of connection. So in a very controversial statement, they have recently started to build robotic partners for their citizens. कि वहाँ पे बेचारों की शादियाँ ही नहीं होती. वो कैरियर के पीछे इतने भाग रहे होते हैं कि उनकी 40 साल के हो जाते हैं, पता ही नहीं चलता शादी नहीं हुई हमारी. अब you have achieved something but you have missed something. क्योंकि हमारे पास 100% नॉलेज नहीं है. 100% हमें नॉलेज नहीं है. थिंग्स आर नॉट इन कंट्रोल ऑफ अस, बट वी कैन मेक बेटर डिसीजंस. दैट्स द एम ऑफ एन इकोनॉमिस्ट. Every day, every moment, we improve our decision making. It's not the perfect, but it's better than the before. And it should be the, I would say, punchline of our CBL also. Do not pursue something absolute, perfection, but better than before. You are better than yesterday. ठीक है? कोई और चीज़? So I'll share a lot of papers for you this week that you have to read, and we will have a quiz next week from those literature, which is primarily on these things.